How does that keep the momentum going from last year, like all the excitement around women's basketball in college?
Yeah, well, you got a lot of options. There's a lot of momentum from a lot of different angles, from the way they supported in the Final Four and the national championship game, record viewing numbers, record corporate sponsorship, record attendance, and then that continuing on to the WNBA season, and every record being broken there. And now coming in, having 2 top 5 teams in Los Angeles, having a chance to do something that's like in November, it's like Final Four in November here. I mean, with Notre Dame and South Carolina coming to town, there's just so many reasons to be excited about women's basketball. It's not a matter of, hey, come, help us build it. No, we're here, and you better not miss out. That's really what I have to say. Pack places out, enjoy bringing your kids here and young families, and let's keep this thing going.
With all that extra attention, do you feel like there's more pressure to,
I don't think there's more pressure, but I think there are more potential for distractions. I think that's my real key, is keep the main thing the main thing. And, we told our team today in film, actually, like, if we didn't win a national championship and a banner didn't go up, and we laid it all out, like everything under our control, we played our butts off, we competed like crazy, we got better every week, I wouldn't like it, but I could live with that. If we don't do all the little things and have a culture of growth and be process obsessive about our process and trust that the outcomes will take care of themselves, that'll eat you alive into your 50s and 60s, as Tasha said today. And so that's really my main thing, is that I do think there's way more potential for distractions. There's from NIL to, obviously these kids are high achievers and we want to be our best, to all the other things people have an opinion. But that's my job, is to help us keep our main thing, and only be obsessive about one thing, and that's our process.
With those potential distractions, you're working in new freshmen, you're working in new transfers, just kind of what goes into that to kind of get everybody onto the same page there?
Well, I think, it's a constant feeding of the right things and the right attitudes. You get what you celebrate and you get what you allow. And so it actually started way back in August when we went on our team retreat. And actually, Janiah Barker brought that up today in film, is that it's not just about what we're doing in between the lines. It's about what we committed to and how we treat each other and how we talk to each other and how does each person operate at their best. And so I think it's spending time relationally and putting those relational deposits in on a consistent basis. I think it's having an absolute commitment to give to your teammates and to grow with intentionality every single day. And no energy vampires allowed. I don't want to coach your feelings in between the lines. I'll care about your feelings outside of that, but you're just an energy vampire if you're letting your feelings get in the way of your commitments. And so bottom line for us is it's feeding those things, honoring the right things, and holding them accountable to those things day in and day out.
Coach, how did Milpitas in Santa Barbara, how did that shape your basketball identity?
Milpitas, I had the most incredible village that raised me. And I can get emotional thinking about it, because there's not very many people that get to grow up. And I had my growing up was not easy, but I had a great diverse environment. I had a lot of people even outside my immediate family that poured into me. I had great coaches in high school as well as in college. And, I just think, too, bottom line is every place I went, I was doing something and being a part of something for the first time. We never won a league championship at Milpitas High School. They'd never had a Division I female get a full scholarship. I went to UC Santa Barbara, and they were 0-18 in conference the year before. And so I was a part of building things. And I think that really was fueled in me a desire to build things and not to be afraid to do something new. But I'm just so grateful that mostly the people, I had unbelievable people that put character first, loved me unconditionally, and pushed me past my comfort zones.
When you consider how your upbringing, how you were reared in your village, how has your journey, your basketball journey, impacted how you cultivate culture and just this overall program here at UCLA?
Well, it's everything. It's bottom line is that it's everything from what Coach Wooden used to tell me about, you're not coaching people's jump shots, you're coaching people's hearts. And he never cared about the end games. It was John Valley walking into my office the first day I was here and saying, man, I was it's affected his marriage, his health, his occupations. Oh, and by the way, he was a starting guard on 2 of Coach Wooden's national championship teams and played 7 years in the NBA. But always having it pale in comparison to the people they became. People first. It's inside out. We champions are made here, but from the inside out. And I have to remind myself that. You know, I walk down that hallway before every game, and on my right is all the banners, and on my left is all the faces of the people in men's basketball that Coach Wooden mentored. And I always think to myself, don't focus on my right on the banners. Focus on the people, the faces, the hearts, the process, loving people well, training them up relentlessly of what it takes to be successful, and the outcomes will take care of themselves.
How do you pour into your coaches with what Coach Wooden has instilled in you? How do you then pay that forward to your coaches?
I just honestly, it starts with vision. Without vision, people perish. And bottom line is, you have to have a unified vision, and you have to have a mission that's bigger than anyone, including me. And you know, the best thing I do to do it is we do it every single day in every little way. And I hired people smarter than me and that are completely committed to the vision and the mission over anything. And every single one of us as adults puts our ego aside. It's not about us. It's about pouring into them. It's not a big thing. It's not a big roadmap. It's a lot of little choices with elite consistency that make up a culture. And that's what we focus on every day.
I feel like the last couple of years you talked about how you had, you know, that big freshman class and you're still learning things. Like, now they're grown up. Like,
yeah, no excuses,
how do
right?
you feel like, you know, especially like Kiki and Gabs in London have brought that?
Yeah, I think they are coming so far. You know, I think Gabs was a very quiet leader by example, but now she's using her voice. And London was a great player with her ball in her hands, and now she's learning how to affect plays without the ball in her hands. You know, and it's just all of them have had their own areas. But most importantly, that class has continued to stay committed to growth and work ethic and getting in the gym. You know, and I think that's, you know, if there was any pressure that I felt, it was just to help them be their best, because they've really committed at a high level, and I just want to make sure I'm there for them, and I guide them in a way that leads them to where they want to go.
Keep digging into that class. You got Lauren last year, Janaya, and Tamia.
I know, it's the Lotus. I saw something a few days ago. It's the Lotus most junior class in the country, and it is. But I also think, don't think about that. I tell them, you know, that's not even a worry for us. What it is how do you learn about your teammates today? How do you make them a little bit better today? And I just think, you know, you've heard me say this, but performance and outcomes are really about potential minus interferences. There's no doubt we have a lot of potential in this building, but how do we manage the potential interferences? That class, I just want them to focus on being a great teammate and outworking people. And if they are great teammates to each other and they outwork people, great things are going to happen for them.
When you talk about outworking just everyone, London, she's diving into the first row of seats. When you see that, what does that mean to you as a coach? Oh,
it means everything. You know, like she has gone to another level in her work ethic, and we're asking her to play more point guard right now. You know, as you know, Kiki's day to day coming back from a minor injury, and so you know, to watch London really do all those little things. I mean, it's inspiring. That kind of effort is contagious, and it spills over to your team. And so, you know, I'm just really proud of London, especially. Maybe has made the biggest jump from sophomore to junior year, and really excited to see her continue to grow.
When you bring in a player like Janaya, you know, in terms of kind of integrating her into the team here, just what has she brought that perhaps, you know, you might not have had last season?
She's got an edge and some instincts that you just can't coach. And, you know, and she doesn't even care. She didn't care about starting. She didn't care about any of those things. All Janaya is like, I want to be a part of winning. But she has they all have a different kind of it factor, but she has an it factor we haven't had before. And I think it's when you're trying to build a complete puzzle, you're trying to get complementary pieces. And I had hoped she would be this big complementary piece, but she's been even better than I thought.
Coach, even when you fuss, you take time to teach, to instill, to ensure that not only the staff but the players learn from that mistake. Why is that important to you?
Well, I think when it's all said and done, we're putting a little orange thing in an orange thing. I mean, when you really are, there's a lot of stuff going on, but, down the road, it's really not going to be about points and rebounds and wins and losses. Down the road, it's going to be about who they became along this process and who they impacted and what are they bringing with them. And the only thing that's going to be with them for the rest of their life from this time is who they become and who they impact. And so if I don't use those teachable moments to that end, I'm choosing the now in place of the forever. And I want to be a forever kind of coach and not a now kind of coach.
So you guys are getting ready to go to France. How do you utilize this experience to ensure that you're teaching forever opportunities?
Well, I think it's, one of the things we're doing is we're doing a Jan Cloyd Memorial Clinic there. And we're going to a very unresourced area. And Jan Cloyd has had a huge impact. And it's her place. She used to go to Paris every October. And she was one of our biggest donors. And we have really gone to the neighborhood that she had the biggest heart, and we're bringing in kids, and we're actually partnering with Louisville, and we're doing a clinic together. And I think you get a chance to have a trip like that. It's important that you have a service mindset. And on top of that, it's not just about basketball. It is a big part, but it's about cultural experience, about seeing the world, understanding what broadening your horizons is like. And so we're bringing 2 professors with us on the trip. This is not just a basketball trip. It's a cultural experience. It's a service project, and it's an educational experience. It's like education in 3D. And so I'm so thankful to have an administration that supports obviously a top 20 matchup with Louisville, who I have so much respect for. I worked with Jeff Walls for 3 years with USA Basketball. He's a really good coaching friend of mine. But I love that our administration is about the total collegiate experience, and that's why they're supporting this trip. And we want to be good stewards of that investment and handle it just that way.
Well, speaking of Paris, Gabriella and Angela both got to play in the Olympics there this summer.
Yeah.
What have you seen them bring back from that experience?
Yeah, Gabs didn't get a chance to play in the Olympics. She played in the World Cup down in Mexico, but at Angela, it's her second Olympics, and it's so amazing to see just her confidence come from that. And I just think she's really comfortable in that style of basketball. But I just think that style of basketball, she has a real prominent role for Serbia. She's really dependent upon, and I think when she came back, she came back wanting to be more of a leader and wanting to be a dependent upon member of that class day in and day out. And she's really stepped up her leadership in that way.
And FIBA's known for that kind of physical style.
Totally.
Of play. How does that translate to maybe the Big Ten?
Well, right now it's not translating very well because she's getting in foul trouble in the middle of the game. So I think you have to make that adjustment. Honestly, it will serve her well comes February and March, where they just let you play a lot more. But right now she's got to have the adjustment. The bottom line is they call it a lot tighter in November. And we need her to be on the floor. And so it is more physical. And I think a lot of our players, from Elena to, all of them have played FIBA basketball. And so you have to know, hey, bottom line is it gives you a lot of tools, but you can't do the same things. And you have to adjust, and you have to stay on the floor.
Where is Charlize at in her recovery process?
Yeah, I think she's doing great. But at the end of this process, it's sort of like there's certain markers to hit, and we're just methodically working through those markers. And one of the biggest things I promised her is that she wants to become a first-round draft pick in the WNBA. She really wants to be healthy, and we're not. I just promised her that we would not push her too fast, that we would not try to get her closer to get us better, but we would really pick the long term. Bottom line is, she's where she needs to contribute is not in November. So we need her to just be healthy for the whole season. So whatever that process looks like, we're going to support her in that.
Coach, when you consider the loss to LSU in the Sweet 16, what did you learn from that experience? What were you able to glean, and what do you recall?
Yeah, I think that, honestly, we were all really disappointed. I mean, if you ask any of our players, myself, I hold myself ultimately responsible. My job is to get us playing our best basketball. Maybe that's the first time. We haven't always won in the pressurized moments, but I felt like we were playing our best basketball in the most pressurized moments, and just being really candid, we didn't. In that game, we did not play our best. We did not play with confidence. We did not play with the aggression that we needed. And ultimately, that's first on me. I'm the head coach. But I think everyone has taken an ownership of a different part. And we're like, okay, we want to be more confident. What's that going to look like? How do we earn that? We want to be able to get really straight stops down the stretch. We allowed 6 straight scores by them down the stretch. It's unacceptable. And so we in practice a certain way, practicing that, right away. So we just tried to, everyone's is a little different learning process, but I think you can't use the mistakes as feedback and growth unless you own them first. And so we've spent time really looking at statistically, what did that teach us? How do we adjust? What is it about how we mentally handled that and what got in our way and how do we do it differently? But a lot to learn. We definitely felt like we sold ourselves short in that game in the way that we played. And so lots to, get better at and learn from moving forward. Our work in special situations, we've been doing it all summer long. And, I just want it to be them to be so confident going into those things that we've repped it over and over and over again, not until we get it right, but until you can't get it wrong. And so those are some of them.
I want to say you had 6 players, average double figures last year. Can you talk to me about why scoring balance is important?
Well, I think anybody, especially when you have a player that is going to get double teamed every single possession, and Lauren Betts, you need to have other people that are going to carry that load. Otherwise, that's going to be an effective way to play. And so you're either going to have people that are going to press you like crazy so you can't find her, or they're going to double her or triple her in the half court. And so you need to be able to play as a team. And so to take advantage of that, what that does for your team. So I think the balance is really important. Being able to shoot the ball creates different spacing. And when you have a rim protector like on one end and a dominant low post player like Lauren on the other, you have to be able to create space in your offense. I also think that when you have people that over-rotate, which you have to do with a player like that, you have to have people that can attack those other seams off the bounce and create other mismatch options out of that. And so, but if you don't have balance, you don't have other people that can recognize where those opportunities exist.
What are your expectations for the team, and what could fans expect?
That we're going to play our butts off, that we're going to play selflessly, and that we're going to get better every week.
Just real quick, what responsibilities does Alina have at this point? It looked like she was very involved.
Alina's going to be our starting point guard on, until Kiki can be back 100%. Wow. So, so we'll see. I mean, Kiki, if Kiki's healthy enough to play on Monday, then she'll have the starting point guard. But right now in our reps, while Kiki's been out, Alina's been our starting point guard.